To achieve what we did in the time that we had, to be ahead of program, to be under budget, to have the quality that we have, wasn't just, a piece of design. The building represented a huge change. I think for a lot of the teachers coming into this building for the first time was probably maybe a shock. We've been working with the college probably for the last, I would say almost now 10 years, trying to develop with a master plan. When they came to us initially, it started with the predecessor of this building, which was called C Block. It was quite a simple task. We were just to add two classrooms onto the first floor. But when we started to look at whether that was physically possible, I think the conclusion was that it was going to cost way too much to do that refurbishment. So we started to see what was really needed, and then maybe potentially come back and revisit the design of C Block, which now is the Jafar Centre. And through a long series of negotiations with the college, discussions around how the school might develop, we came across this idea then of creating a hub. And the idea that this building then would serve also as a new teaching space, but also would provide additional facilities. Before we would start looking at proposing to demolish a building, you need to have a lot of justification for that. You have to be really certain it makes sense financially, but also environmentally and practically. And as it worked out, we were able to demolish about 1,000 square meters, replace it with 5,000 square meters, but keep it within the available electrical load that we had for the old original building. But it aligned itself really well with the idea of creating a LEED Gold certified building, which we're now in the final process of hopefully getting awarded. We take our approach in sustainability from not looking at technology to always solve that problem. So carefully studying the light, looking at how that light can then have sensors and lux level sensors to make sure that no artificial light is then switched on unless absolutely necessary. We're also supplementing every space with ceiling fans, which means that we can then set the point higher in terms of the thermostats, which saves energy, the thickness of the walls, the amount of insulation that was brought into the building. So it was all part of a very, very carefully orchestrated and aligned strategy to make sure that we were going to be sustainable, that we were going to provide innovative spaces. And we could see this idea that the students really wanted to embrace sustainability. We introduced the idea of biophilia to them, which they've now really started to embrace. A lot of classrooms face out onto the landscape, but it's very unusual to find such a large amount of the interior space given over to internal planting. What's unique in the Jafar Centre, as I said, is the entire ground floor is given over to collaboration. We've got an internal garden, a gazebo, we have green screens, we have an analogue library, we have seminar spaces, we have a cafe. It's quite a strange concoction. So it wasn't great big light bulb moments. It was through a lot of conversation with the college, a lot of conversation with the students and the parents, and as I said, hopefully we've created a chassis that will continue to evolve, hopefully for the next couple of decades. We have probably 3 times as much space as we had in the original library. That was born from discussions with the English department, but you're surrounded by books in a really comfortable environment. And that comfort we wanted to bring into the design. It was unusual to take the art department and move them to the top floor of the teaching block. And it came with, some reservation at the beginning. But I think that when people could see the same vision that we had around the quality of light that we can achieve in this location, it would just make a much, much more exciting learning environment. And that's aligned with the overall direction that the school is taking. Then hopefully that means that teachers are more motivated and more creative, and that is passed on to the students to encourage them to do the same thing. The feedback that I've had from just speaking to some students is that they love being in the building, and for us, I think that's a massive win. And in a way, we feel like we are guardians of the original campus, but at the same time, we have to be, in a way, bringing the innovation. We have to be bringing the latest blend of technology and construction, sustainability, in a way that we now have some fantastic teaching spaces within the building.